Hey guys, and welcome to our next project. We are going to be making really cool cardboard texture paintings. Now when I say paintings, you might choose to use paint, but many of you won't. But it's a texture painting, okay? So that means we're going to be incorporating the texture from the cardboard into this image that we're creating in some way, shape, fashion, form. Some of you will add a ton of the texture. Some of you might just have little bits of texture here and there. It's going to be up to you, okay? So you can see a couple examples right here. So the first example, that train one, you can see it has not really a ton of texture, right? Like really it's just that smoke that's coming out the top of the train. Whereas for the student, it was more about the drawing and adding in visual interest that way. So if you're really super into drawing and shading and detail like that, feel free to kind of have more of an emphasis on that for this project. Because once again, that one has an emphasis more on the drawing and shading and that kind of stuff. And the texture from the cardboard really is just coming from that smoke coming out the top. Whereas if we look at the one right next to it, you can see there's actually zero drawing, shading, adding in detail that way. It's all about the texture. All texture from the cardboard and layering and stacking, whereas the train one is really just one flat piece of cardboard. So I wanted to point that out right away because either direction you choose to go in, totally fine and totally up to you. In fact, some students will choose to make one really amazing detailed cardboard texture painting, and some people choose to just do like some smaller, less detailed ones and maybe make a couple of them. So this is going to be up to you and choices that you get to make along the way. For me, as long as you're demonstrating that you can add in that texture to your cardboard painting or texture painting from, peeling back the layers like we'll be doing for this project, you get thumbs up from me. Okay? So let's just look at a couple other examples. Sometimes it's good to see what kind of stuff can be done, and it's a little bit helpful for us understanding like what the expectations are and getting brainstorming ideas going, all that good stuff. So on the top row, these actually tend to be a little bit more like flat, where it's just using like one, maybe two layers of cardboard stacked up, and not necessarily a ton of the texture showing through either, a more simplistic texture showing through. But I just wanted to show you some of the different options. Like, for example, you could be using like chalk pastels or color pencils or oil pastels. You can be adding color into yours. So like this one here, once again, is focused more really on the drawing aspect of it, but they did still bring in the texture by having that one strip of cardboard, that top layer peeled away, which is obviously then covering the person's face. The next one, the Pepsi bottle, has the texture in a couple different areas, and it does have a bit of layering. The Pepsi bottle itself, if you look really closely, is actually a second layer of cardboard that was cut out and then glued on top of it, and obviously that one uses paint for the logo on there. And I really liked too for that one of my favorite things, it's not obvious right away, you kind of have to look for it, the cap that's flipped upside down in the soda that's spilt on the surface. I love how the cap, they pulled back that top layer so you could see the texture for the ridges, right? That is on the bottom of the cap whenever you turn them around. So I thought that was kind of cool. I like that. The next one over, the dragonfly. So for that one, that was really just an experiment with textures, and they've actually even used textures from a few different kinds of cardboard. So for mine, I've got a few different boxes here, and if you notice, I haven't actually started cutting them apart yet. So I'm going to be surprised, but they're different thicknesses. So I'm kind of hoping that the texture that gets revealed as I pull back that top layer in each of them, I'm hoping it's a little different, because then I can do something kind of like what you're seeing with the dragonfly one, where like there's some thicker and thinner textures to the cardboard. Fingers crossed, we'll see what we get, right? And then also noting that you can add in found objects. So it doesn't all have to be entirely cardboard. You can add in other things as well, like this person did with that dragonfly. And you can even make the things that go on top of it too, right? It can be found objects or things you create and add to it. So there's lots of options, lots of options. The next one I really love, the one of, it's so simple, right? The one of the guy painting. Like if I'm looking at that, you know, that's not super intricate. It wouldn't take that long to do. But boy, is it cool. Like it's so cool. So with that one, you know, it's just one single sheet of cardboard. There are no layers to it. Like they did remove the top layer where the, you know, the painting is happening. And I love that there's a little bit too, the paint can in the lower left of that picture. If you notice that, they actually removed a little bit of that top layer there as well, to mimic, you know, the paint that is on the wall is also dripping out of that bucket. So cool. And then just a Sharpie marker to show the silhouette of the person painting. Simple, but so cool, right? Okay, so this bird one's a little bit harder to see, but if you look in our slides, you'll be able to see it there. But this one, I almost think of like when I'm carving a pumpkin. It kind of reminds me of that, where you just like, okay, I want to make sure that there's the connected pieces to hold it all together, but then I'm going to reveal like where the light would show through. So for this, a cool idea, if you're like, I just really am not sure what I want to draw or what I want this to be, feel free to look at inspiration pictures of like jack-o'-lanterns that have been cut out, because that is like basically the same sort of idea of what we're doing here, only we're using cardboard instead of a pumpkin. So there's that. Butterfly one's super cool because this person kind of broke the mold, literally, and they're using an actual butterfly shape by cutting that shape out of the cardboard versus just using like, you know, a rectangular or your more typical shapes that you might see. So that's kind of cool. And then obviously you can see that they're how they positioned the box. Once they remove that top layer, you can see that the angle of the cardboard goes like this for the top butterfly wing, and then it goes down in this direction. So feel free to like switch up the angles and make that give it more interest too. And then even cutting strips, you can see there's like little strips that then they spiraled around for the body and then spiraled around for the antenna, and then just put flat pieces for like the different shapes and stuff that we might see in a butterfly. Really cool. So I think the most intricate one that we have here is the third one over, the girl kind of going like, there are so many different textures. I'm sure that this student had a bunch of different boxes. They used paint, a whole bunch of different things to create that. So this is where I'm saying you could make one just really cool, amazing one, or you could make several that are a little bit less intricate and don't take as much time, and it's really up to you. So have fun with that. And then the final one is that dog. I just think it's so cute, so sweet. And once again, for this one, it's, you know, they removed a lot of the background to show the texture, which I think is a brilliant idea. I love seeing that texture in the background. But as far as the dog goes itself, it's really just kind of like the shoulders and arms that have that texture showing, and then it's got a lot of stuff added to it, like here and here, some like thinner paper that can get glued to it. So once again, it doesn't have to just be cardboard. You can add other things to it as well. You can paint it, you can color it, you can add found objects. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do. So our goal for today is to brainstorm. What do you want to do? What do you want yours to look like? What are you thinking? And draw a sketch. Sketch that out. How do we want this to look? And think about, like, is this going to be a gift for somebody? Do I want it in my room? Is it going to be like hanging in the family room? Like, where's this going? What's it for? And think about what you would like that to look like, or just whatever you're inspired by right now, right? Like, art should be something that inspires us. That's how we put our heart and soul. I almost said art and soul. That's our class, though. Our heart and soul into it is because it's something that's inspiring to us. If it's something you don't care about, you're probably not going to try as hard. So think of something that you care about and use that as your inspiration. And then be thinking about, like, do I want this to have color in it? Do I want it to have found objects? You don't have to, like, have everything concrete at this point, but just start thinking and brainstorming about that stuff. So then we want to sketch it out. So mine that I'm going to be doing is going to be kind of like a pixie fairy type thing. I'm going to have layers to mine. I'm going to be stacking mine. And it's going to be a circular shape. I decided I didn't want to do a rectangular square shape. So mine's going to be actual circular shape. It's going to have that silhouette in there. I'm planning on these eyelashes actually being like little strips of cardboard that I'll curl. So kind of like the antenna for the butterfly, something like that. So this is going to be the background. I'm going to have kind of like ripped apart texture showing through, some sea stars or I don't know, regular stars, something like that floating on top. And then the face is going to be solid with cardboard. Then there's going to be a layer of hair that's going to have the texture showing, another layer where it's going to be just solid. The ear is going to be a solid layer, but then the inside of it will be revealing texture. And I'm going to add some more stuff around it too. But this is like my first thought of what that's going to look like. So for next class, I want to have that drawn out. And if you're like, I still got a little extra time and energy, and you want to start cutting out that base layer shape, possibly even sketching it onto your cardboard, you are welcome to do that as well. But really, we just need to make sure we at least have our design down for next class so that we're ready to go. Make sure for next class you've got cardboard, pencil, your X-Acto knife, lots of caution because we're using an X-Acto knife. We don't want to get hurt. Scissors, glue, and then of course those optional things. So start thinking about, like, do I want to add color to it? Do I want to add found objects? Do I want to paint it? Like, thinking about that kind of stuff, and having that ready to go for tomorrow as well. We'll see you guys then. Have fun.